Alright, so hey guys, this isn't an Echo video. I mean, it is. It's my Echo retrospective video on, like, my thoughts of the game and other such nonsense. I have in front of me, a notebook with my, not really notes, more like a bullet point list of things I want to talk about. And I think I should start out with just a thing that I heard that Howley had said once. He said that his intent when creating the game was not to hurt people, which is obvious, but many people thought that was his intent. He said himself that when he was writing TJ's ending in specific, he almost had, it was really hard for him to do, and honestly, I can see why. I'm a writer myself, and that kind of shit fucking saps you. It hurts. But then again, media like that has a purpose, and it's sometimes fun. And, like, in general, Echo is a game that I, honest to God, think everyone should play, regardless if you're a furry or not, or if you like horror or not. Like, seriously, I really think you should. But, like, anyway, I'm gonna start off right off the bat by saying that I'm going to be covering spoilers for all of the routes. So if you don't want to see that shit, then yeah, you should probably get the fuck out of here. Yeah. Or watch my series, but it's not even finished yet, so whatever. Yeah. Basically, I'm just going to be covering some stuff. So, first off, I think I should talk about, like, the first day of Echo alone, because it's really effective at setting up the characters and the setting, sort of, not really to the extent that that you would know something's off, which is what's so good about it too. Like, you're going back, obviously. Well, Chase is going back, and you're going there to have you eating with your old childhood friends and all that shit, which is honestly kind of stereotypical furry VN crap. But then the first dream sequence happens, and it's just like, this is kind of odd and creepy, but it's not that scary, Like, it's that kind of thing. And there's, like, all these hints scattered all over the place in the first day that Echo isn't exactly the rose tinted glasses place that Chase makes it out to be. It's one of those places. And I really like how, like, this first dream sequence moves on into the other next one, which is at Southwestern Adventures, and they're watching the show. TJ, Carl, and Chase are just sitting there, and Chase goes to sleep. Yeah, that dream. Knowing what we know now about the world of Echo and what we have in the smoke room as well, how are we supposed to think that that's even, like, just a dream? I mean, like, it could just be like the clouded memories of one of the residents in Echo that was absorbed into the entity or whatever. But one thing as well I should mention right now is that Chase's impact on Echo is not just him coming back and taking it with him. He literally changes the very foundation of the town in essence, just by virtue of being there and doing what he did with Sydney. Drowning Sydney, yeah, under the influence of not Samuel, because it is Samuel, it's just this clouded version of him that's basically controlled by the entity. And honestly, once we get past that, like, Chase just becomes this, like, extremely important character in Echo in general because of everything that happens because of him. And not, like, and back to that dream at the fucking theme park. It takes place in the mine, and as I said, it might not even be a dream, it might just be a memory that some resident had. Maybe Sam, maybe not. But, like, that mine. Did something happen in the mind. It's one of those things where there's all these little hints in not only the smoke room but also Echo at certain points that they dug too deep and they found something they shouldn't have that sort of stayed buried, you know? So that's another thing, is the mind cursed or something? We really don't know. I just personally think it's some kind of eldritch horror type thing, but I might be wrong. It's something that must make sense though. But anyway, I think we should move on to like I guess I would say the plot catalyst, which is in essence Sydney. And if you've watched Twin Peaks, you would see that Sydney exhibits the Laura Palmer syndrome, where essentially they're not even in the show, but like they are so important and affect so much within the world that they were in that it's kind of insane. And of course, this whole Sydney thing boiled up through the years between the six of them, and eventually they go to the lake on Monday, and the argument bursts out. And Flynn has, I think he does have a right to know. It's just, I think he should let it go because, like, it's better. It would be better to let it go considering some of the stuff that happens later on, you know? That's another thing. When you're playing Echo, it always goes back to that sort of thing, you know? Like, one route is not enough. You need to play all of them to really understand a lot of what's happening. And like I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I played one route. I'm too fucking scared to another." Yeah, I was too, and I still did all five. So that's no excuse. But even if you have played all five, I really think you should reread it because I did for my series, and yeah, whew, you uncover a lot. This game really repays you for rereading it, you know, in a really strong manner. It's kind of insane. Basically, what we're gonna go from here is basically my favorite moments, ideas, and like theories in Echo, you know, stuff like that. And like, um, I think I should also state something that I really like about the writing here. Because while there are different routes and different perspectives that basically do entirely different things, there are still constants. There are still constants to this world, such as Carl's party, or what Wednesday his party. That's basically in every single route that you have, and that's mainly because Leo over here decides that it's a idea to get them closer together again or something. And it's really interesting because with Carl, like just in routes in general, that birthday you experience it from all of it from like five different viewpoints, which is really good because it's happening, it's going to happen regardless, but you still have to have that sort of different aspect to it when you're writing something like this with a bunch of routes, you know? They can't all be the same. And in Carl's route, as you saw from the beginning of, you know, my series on the channel, um, they end up sort of in this not another dimension or anything like that, but the echo entity kind of hijacks their minds and all that. And that's another thing. It's really interesting to me that since Carl is a gamer and really into video games like really strongly, that the world they go into is a kind of you have to find something in order to move on type of thing. It's really interesting to me that you have to act, that you just have to actively find something that moves you on to the next thing. very reminiscent of gaming in general. And then, of course, you have to take into consideration the fact that because of this, they don't see what's actually happening because the entity is controlling their perception of what they see. In essence, they see what the entity wants them to see. Of course, there is James and John, James Hendricks the First and John Begay. Um, James Hendricks the First is an even bigger fucker than James Hendricks the Third in the smoke room, and that's saying a lot. Um, and like, it's not actually them. They're not the real ancestors of Jenna, and Carl. Obviously, it's just like these sort of emaciated, clouded husks of what they used to be, being puppeted by the Echo entity, which is, to me, it's supposed to be some kind of eldritch horror that's been around for longer than we could possibly imagine and all that shit. Which is also, in my opinion, why the Meseta stayed away from Echo. They must have had a legend or something surrounding the Echo entity or something like that. And that's why when you're in the smoke room and you're in Cliff's route, you see the map and all the fires are like surrounding Echo in a circle. It's just a big circle, and outside of the circles is the Meseta bonfires that they set up. Which is really interesting because I remember the character who showed you the map says something along the lines of but the Meseta know the true the true territory of Echo is a circle or something like that. It's interesting. And I think we need to talk about Carl's ending, um, especially his bad ending. Like, if I had to compare that ending to anything else, I would say Ghostwatch. I know. It's like Ghostwatch is such a fucking good movie, but the ending and the ending of Carl's Bad Route both leave me with the same feeling. Like, ugh, God. Like, the mansion is on fire. Jen and Raven are off, possibly injured, just who knows in what shape, and then where the fuck is Carl? Is he even around anymore? Is he just taken over by the fucking thing that's posing as James? Like, Chase just comments on these things and then it fades to black and it's the end in the bad route, which is so fucking good. We don't need an explanation. That is one thing I wish more horror content would understand. We don't need an explanation of the horror. What our minds conjure up will be 1,000 times worse than whatever you can shove in our face. Which there's a moment in Carl's route that I just remembered now that I said that. When they're in the cabin, the cabin where I think John Begay hid out while waiting for James to come. From what's in the smoke room, I think that's what it was. Um, it might also be where James had kept the Meseta kids and did what he did to them. Gross. But like, there was a moment in the cabin part of Carl's route where Chase looks out the window and sees like sees a bonfire and sees figures like moving around it, but we never get a real glimpse at them. And that is so fucking good, man. You genuinely, you genuinely do not know how refreshing that is. I mean, if you like horror and you know the state of horror movies nowadays, then you do know what I'm talking about. Like, it seems like every horror movie just has to have a moment where they show the monster for whatever fucking reason, as if that's gonna make it scarier. No, not seeing what the monster is makes it scarier. That's what makes it scarier. Don't explain everything and don't show the monster in full view. So, now I'm going to be moving on to something else. We've covered all I want to cover in Carl's route, and we're gonna move on to Leo's because, yeah, why not? Just why not? So, Leo is a character whom I viciously despise. I genuinely hate him in certain aspects of his personality. But one of them that I cannot fault him for is Chulpa, because, or Shadow Chase, whichever you want to say. But, like, we're not even sure. Like, the thing with Shadow Chase is that it's like manipulating Leo. Whatever this thing is, whether it's its own, like, entity or it's just part of the monolithic, age old fucking echo entity. Which honestly brings me to my next point. Like, not only is this thing manipulating Leo to do horrible things, but at the same time, I'm convinced there's like like a kind of hierarchy of entities because like you have Sam who is one of them, and then you have like Chulpa, which is another, and then you have the Echo entity, which is another, and yeah, there's like this one moment in what was it? It's in Leo's route, right? Yeah, obviously we're talking about Leo's route. But like Chase has a dream when he's in Leo's house and they're sleeping together where he's outside and he's being chased by something. And that is like you never find out what it is. You just get like kind of hints at it from what Chase is saying. And then you wake up, and then Chase wakes up in the fucking Leo's room. Leo's still next to him. Everything's okay, just a dream. But then, why are there leaves on the bed if it was just a dream? And they don't explain that. They don't explain that because it doesn't need explaining. As I said, the less you explain, the better. Especially in horror. Especially in horror, the less you explain, the better. But like, I'm trying to remember which author I read that did something like that once. I just can't remember. But lots of authors do that kind of thing where they just leave you with an image and then they don't elaborate on it. They just say, it's there, and that's it. Deal with it. And that is so fucking good, man. I love that. When a creator trusts their audience enough to scare themselves. That is what I love in horror. But now I'm going to move on to a point that I have to begrudgingly admit because Leo's route is scarier than Carl's because, well, yes, Carl's is no cakewalk, but like in Leo's route, we don't deal with any ooky spooky ghost shenanigans, despite the fact I don't think there's actually ghosts. Um, in Leo's route, we deal with the probably most terrifying thing I can really think of, and that would be real people. Real people who are scared. And not just people who are scared, but people who think that you're the cause of what they're scared of. Brian, Duke, oh, basically everyone Echo, honestly. Which, I don't know. Brian in general is just one of those fucking characters that genuinely gets under my skin in the worst way possible. I have had multiple nightmares where I was being chased by him. It's not fun. It's not fun. But then we have to discuss the intelligence of these entities because the way they behave and the way they like make Leo act just screams intelligence, malevolent intelligence, or something of that nature. But there is intelligence. It's not just going on instinct. I mean, the way that this shadow chase figure manipulates Leo into doing things it wants is evidence enough of that and all that, but like, geez. And yeah. Then we get to the mine scene in Leo's Route, which holy fuck. Yeah. You go in, Jesus, that entire scene can literally go fuck itself. I hate it so much. You're just fucking in you're just in the hollow where Sam killed Jack and Brian's about to kill you there, and you see graves that he dug for his previous victims. It's like, what the and then, like, Chase is like, oh, help me. And I say it to you, as I've said multiple times before, and, like, it goes into second person. But then Brian is killed by who knows what, really. Who knows what, really? Really. I really don't know, but, like, there's enough description to where your brain does the rest of the work for you, which is perfect. And I think from there we'll move on to Leo's endings. We'll start with Leo's bad ending, where, well, he is under the influence of Shadow Chase again, I'm assuming, and ends up killing Chase, essentially. And just the final scene where Leo is cradling Chase in his arms while he's bleeding out through the stumps that his legs have become. And like I remember the last line was like there's like a figure in the corner that leers at me angrily or something like that. Which that description alone sent chills down my spine the first time I read it, and even the second time I read it, because yeah, um, good grief. um, well, not to mention just the fact that you're literally being spooned while you're bleeding out from your fucking leg stumps because someone was. I hate Leo. Um, but like, if I'm right, something way worse happens after that. After Chase dies, and we don't get to see it. Like, I don't want to talk about it honestly. But then, of course, Leo's semi good ending is where they're no longer like in a relationship. Thank fucking Christ. And Chase is with Kudzu and all that shit and all that crap. You want to talk about bad endings? Well, you ain't seen nothing yet. TJ's root ending, because there's literally only one ending for TJ, and it's probably the worst one in the entire game by far. Like in TJ's route, you're with like the one person, the one character in Echo who is probably the nicest. But also this route has like the most Sydney, like not the most Sydney content, but it has more about Sydney and how he liked to do the scavenger hunts and all that shit. Which, as you go on, you slowly begin to piece together is not actually Sydney. So that's kind of creepy. But like I was saying about like a hierarchy of entities and all that shit, you know? Well, now I want to talk about the bathroom scene in DJ's route, which, holy shit. Yeah, that scene is just straight up scary. I hate that scene so much. I mean, it really doesn't help matters when Sam himself is terrified of the thing in the mirror, so yeah. But like from what the thing in the mirror says, it seems to imply that there's been eons of hysteria, just going back forever and ever and ever and ever for who knows how fucking long, and like that is fucking terrifying. That is genuinely just awful. Which leads me to a certain thing I think about the main Echo entity. It feeds on negative crap. Just everything negative. It just feeds on it, sucks it out through a straw or something. And like, yeah, the ending of this route is legitimately probably the worst ending in the entire game. Barring Flynn's, but like, it doesn't even come close in my opinion. Which is like, and the worst thing is like once you choose TJ's route, you're committed to that ending. Like, I didn't notice it the first time, obviously, because I was playing it for the first time, duh, but like, going back and experiencing it again, it was like, oh, shit. Like, there's nothing you can do to avoid that ending, regardless of whatever you do. I mean, obviously, but like, still. It's really fucking interesting and just awful how you can't avoid that ending no matter what you do. It's just a constant that will never go away. And yeah, no, that's honestly creepy. And honestly, all the routes are just scary in different ways. Which, of course, moves me on to my favorite route in the game, Flynn's route. Now, Flynn's route is written by McSkinney, and so is Jenna's. Pretty sure Carl, TJ, and Leo were written by Howley, and Flynn and Jenna's written by McSkinney, but I could be wrong. But yeah, Flynn's route is the route that has the most Sydney content in it, like about his past and all that crap. Including the fucking scene with his dad and oh god. No. You see, that scene in particular really fucking makes me uncomfortable for reasons that I don't feel comfortable sharing, but all I'll say is my dad was also abusive. And yeah, that scene is genuinely uncomfy, but the entire route has a shit ton of Sydney content, which is really interesting. Not only does this route have the most Sydney content out of any of them, but also has the POV switch where you go from Chase to Sydney, then to Flynn. Because, like, whatever, like, Sam moves on from Chase and goes into Flynn eventually, and you can't really tell Flynn's ending in the same way without that happening, which is why it's so masterful. And yeah, Flynn's fate, man, like, it could have been avoided if he had just let it go, if he had just decided to let let the truth go, let the past go, just accept that it happened and not obsess over why and what and all that shit. Because that led to his fate in both his route and TJ's route. Not only do we learn about, like, Flynn's fate in this, but we also learn about the socket monster, well, no shit, and how basically all of them saw it except, well, Chase and Flynn. Maybe Leo, he didn't say anything about it. But TJ, Carl, and Jenna all saw it at different points, which is really, really intriguing. But like, as I've said before, some events within the Echoverse stay the same regardless of which route you're on. Like the hike, the birthday party with Carl, all that crap. And that's kind of important because while it is different routes, you're still an Echo, so there needs to be some continuity between the routes. Honestly, Flynn's route is my favorite out of all of them because it scared me the most. It just got under my skin the most, and I hate it. I don't hate it, but I love it. So now we move on to Jenna. Jenna. Well, Jenna's route is the route with the most Tetanus Alley crew content, where we meet Jeremy, Micah, Clint, Heather, those guys. And we also get quite possibly one of the most pants shit inducing moments in the entire game, in my opinion, as you saw if you watched my Jenna playthrough. Good grief, I stalled for over 45 minutes. I am such a pussy. But like, yeah, it's one of those. It's the route that, in my opinion, has the most tetanus alley crew. It's not my opinion; it's the truth. And not only that, but like the ending of Jenna's route there's two endings. You either Jenna and Heather flood the town or something like that, or you don't flood the town and you all get out and have a semi-happy ending, which really was deserved after the years of horrible endings, you know? So, that Echo, the town that deserves to die, really. Just deserves to die in general. Like, that's the thing with the Tele Crew. You get to see how Echo is affecting the people in Echo and just how bad some of them have it, so that when shit starts to hit the fan, you're just like, yeah, maybe this is for the best. Maybe this is for the best, actually. Yeah. This game is very near and dear to my heart because it's just so damn good. It is so damn good. And like, I've played it for like since 2018. It's kind of insane, really, now that I think about it. I mean, I didn't really think I'd still be playing this game this many years later, but here I am doing it anyway, so I guess we're wrong about some things after all, you know? Can't be right about everything. So that's really all I wanted to say in regards to Echo, but I want to give a quick thank you to the creators of the Echo verse in general, and just say thank you for all the hard work that they have done to make these games as the best they can be and just make them fucking good in general. Like, I'm very, very lucky to be able to play a game like this in general. And the fact that it exists at all is like a miracle, honestly, because most furry VNs or your dating sims or some other bullshit like that. It's cliche as fuck. So thank you, Howley, McSkinny, others, for creating such an amazing universe and everything. I hope you enjoyed this video. See ya.